Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Citizen Panel. We have two amazing guests with us this time. There is S.N. Sahu, who served as officer on special duty with former President K.R. Narayanan, and he was also a joint secretary in the Rajya Sabha Secretariat, so has a lot of experience from the inside where Parliament is concerned. And our other guest is Venkatesh Kesri, a journalist colleague, a veteran who has spent perhaps more time inside Central Hall than outside, has been covering Parliament for a long, long time. And both are here today to talk to us about the new Parliament building, the changes that they have seen, how it was before and today, with a little bit of nostalgia, I'm sure that will be thrown in. So welcome, both of you. And Mr. Sahu, let me begin with you. Tell us a little bit of, we've always talked about nostalgia. I remember when I started covering Parliament, the older journalists then would tell us about days of better oration. And I'm sure when they started, people would talk about Nehru and how great it was when Parliament was first established. And now we are talking about the days when we covered it. So is this nostalgia a little misplaced, or do you think that there is sufficient room for the fact and for the allegation and the feeling that the debates in Parliament have gone down substantially?
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to participate in this very, very important and sensitive topic. I would say that certainly, there is a despair in the media, and despair among the public that the debate standards have fallen down in the Parliament. And the media is now, frankly speaking, is not getting opportunities to report properly. See, for instance, let me tell you, the media cell in Rajya Sabha Secretariat, which I had the privilege of starting it has been closed down.
Okay.
It has been closed down. I don't know whether you know or not. Now, what does it indicate? Because my colleagues, they tell me that it is no more existing. So therefore, it's a very, very, very sad development. Plus, the COVID rules obviously, caused a lot of restrictions to have access to parliament proceedings. And it continued for so long. And there was a discussion in the Press Club of India. I remember the former Secretary General, Mr. P.D.T. Achari, he was there, and I was also there. And he was expressing concern. So how do you carry forward the cause of democracy when the press is not allowed to enter? See, there was a category called distinguished, long and distinguished category of journalists.
Yes.
Who had been issued passes, to go there, to sit in Central Hall. That has been withdrawn. That has come to an end. So, all these things indicate the kind of problems media is facing.
Right.
Okay, so Mr. Venkatesh Kesari, he must have seen the new Parliament. Frankly speaking, I haven't seen, but I was told that it is not at all conducive, for media people. And recently, Jairam Ramesh commented that it's a new Parliament building is a Modi multiplex or Modi Marriott or something. So it's a very highly critical remark, which was objected to by BJP leader Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. He described such remarks as an offense to the people of India, because Parliament represents the supreme will of the people of India.
Right. Right.
So therefore, my point is, in the present context, when the India status has come down in terms of press freedom index, it is going down and down and down. So I think it doesn't augur well for our democracy. And now Prime Minister is saying that India is a mother of democracy.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, something has to be urgently done. To address the problem, because I remember Joseph Pulitger's famous words. He said, our republic and press should rise or fall together. Okay, so
Yeah,
so therefore, if the
right,
press is not given proper access to cover, and they are not made, because it's the fourth
right.
state or whatever we would
So
call it. So
yes,
that's the reason why I think it's a huge
I,
challenge
I
that
want to bring in
imperils democracy.
Yeah, I want to bring in Venkatesh here because you've been talking about the media, and he's actually the media who has been inside Parliament and has seen it earlier when access was pretty easy. So, what is the basic difference that you're seeing now, Venkatesh, in terms of accessibility for the media?
Seema, I can't understand why they have stopped the entry of media or banned the entry of media in the center of parliament.
Right.
Number one. Number two, they have also restricted the numbers of press persons who are covering Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha gallery, who are covering the proceedings of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha through the gallery. I don't know why they have curtailed the numbers of the media persons. And thirdly, that this regime, they don't believe in having interaction with the MPs among themselves, MPs and medias, and they are emphasizing on the facilities they have provided to the MPs, lawmakers, and instead of this dialogue is essence of the democracy, and this regime doesn't want that the dialogue should continue between the people who have different views
So,
and the media person.
why was Central
They are
Hall? Why did
scared.
you feel it so important? I
They are
mean,
sc-
why
they
was it
are
so
they are
important to
scared.
you?
No, they are
Yeah.
scared
No,
because
they
they
are,
don't
but
believe.
as a journalist, why did you feel that Central Hall was so important? What did you get out of Central Hall?
Seema's Central Hall used to be the mini parliament.
Yeah,
We have seen stalwarts like Vajpayee, Chandrasekhar used to sit in the Central Hall. After that, Sharad Pawar, Lalu Prasad Yadav, then Amar Singh, Digvijay Singh, Sharad Yadav, Ram Vilas Paswan, many people. You see, there were corners known by MPs. Say, for example, Bengal corner, Maharashtra corner, Kerala corner, and the mainline people, Hindi-speaking people, they used to sit in the center of at the center of the central hall, and they were just discussing, chit-chatting. I have seen Murli Manohar Joshi asking Sitaram Yechuri and Vrunda Karat, why can't you come and have a coffee and idli with me? Then they said, ki, and I have also seen Vrunda Karat sitting with Murli Manohar Joshi. So it was a different. You see, your political commitment is different, your parties are different, you know the differences, ideological differences, but still you come together and discuss. That entire thing has gone in this
so Parliament, Mr. Sahu, I mean, from what we
Yeah.
remember, what you all have been saying was always, a buzz, sort of a fulcrum of democracy, where everybody got together, they exchanged views, journalists were partakers really of this whole thing. We understood what was going on. We could speak to the politician in a more informal environment. We could pick up a lot of information, good, bad, ugly, and there was a lot of interaction. That interaction is slowly ceased, right? Is there any, did you see this coming over the years? Because, or was this rather sudden or gradual in the sense that now they're more combative. The political parties are more combative, the journalists are out, and that whole democratic spirit seems to have eroded to some extent.
You are absolutely right. And, in the context of the central hall that you discussed with Venkatas, and Venkatas very, very insightfully recalled, those days. Let me quote Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. He told his daughter, who became an MP, he said, go and sit in central hall, talk to MPs of different political parties whenever you get an opportunity. So the point here is, this interaction, this intermixing, and discussing something which is off the record. See, journalists, I mean, you are a
Yeah.
veteran journalist. Many things are not shared for printing or for disclosing or putting them in public domain. Many things are shared off record, and that helps the journalist to understand a situation. I mean, I as a press secretary, I have shared so many things with many sorry, journalists. I remember Harish Khare used to come to my room. I used to go to Central Hall. being an employee of Rajya Sabha Secretariat. So, so many. So therefore, when such interactions, they actually decline, when interactions get reduced, it's a very, the vibrancy of Indian democracy gets compromised.
Yeah.
The main, one of the defining features of, parliamentary democracy is free flow of communication. So when free flow of communication is arrested, or it is, trampled upon, that free flow of communication, then there will be a, kind of a danger to democracy itself. So I think, I remember that BBC interview of Mr. Modi. He said, what I should have done is to manage media. So, you remember those very, what do you call, hard-hitting words. So I feel some kind of management is now going on. And this management certainly doesn't augur well for democracy. Because unless you have I remember Chief Justice of India, which I'm forgetting the name. He said, while there should be freedom of speech, there should be also freedom after the speech is made. I think Justice Ramana, he said that there is a chilling effect, there is a self-censorship. So people are very scared now. If this fear element is there, I remember Mahatma Gandhi, he started his only satyagraha for cause of press freedom in 1941 to challenge the censorship of the British regime, which, imposed censorship following, dragging India to join World War II. So the atom of pen is the foundation of Swaraj, and if that foundation is sorry, so therefore,
Some sound is, yeah.
No, it's just temporary. Yeah. So, so that foundation has to be defended, he said, and that means Swaraj. So when you have 75th anniversary of India's independence, I think that foundation is getting imperiled, and we need to defend that.
Right. This managing the media, Venkatesh, I mean, there's definitely a fear element that has come into it. But managing the media, don't you feel that other governments started this a long time ago? So, there's kind of freedom of trying to control you. If if you're a good guy, you'll go on the Prime Minister's trip. If you're a better person, you'll get access to the corridors of North and South Block. Briefings held by people like national security advisors or top officials would also become selective, even though they were being paid salaries on taxpayer money. So hasn't that also sort of moved? Yeah.
Seema, it has been there in all regimes. No regime would like that the media should be critical analyze their performance. But this government, this regime has crossed all limits. I know Congress. I know congressmen also. Congress MPs also and leaders. They did not like media to be present in the center of parliament. They ask why they are sitting here. Why are not why they are not in the house? But still, Congress has a long tradition, and they did not dare. But this government, they have
crossed, you said. But it's interesting, all the names that you took of all the leaders in parliament, without even probably realizing it, were all the people who were sources and spoke openly to the media. It's interesting when you said...
Yes, very interesting. They were not scared of speaking to the media. They were not scared of speaking to the media. And they also know the media will not disclose their name, identity. And I still remember Arun Jaitley, once sitting in the center of parliament, he used to ask media person to offer him, we should offer him coffee. So we gladly used to offer him coffee. But in center of parliament, they used to interpret the events. They used to give indications. It was really a learning of media persons. So so it was a fun, and you have seen the press gallery how it used to, when the discussions in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha used to take place. Entire gallery used to stand up and react. So it was a different days, golden days, you can say.
Not only react, I am forgetting the exact reason, but there was somebody had upset everybody amongst the journalists, either tried to restrict our access or something. And the entire press gallery struck work. And we went on strike. And except for the PTI, which really got it from us, It was an empty press gallery, and immediately the government and everybody went into, quick mode to allay all our problems, and we had remedial action immediately. So it is very, very different mahal, jo kehte hain, very, very different. I remember the time, Venkatesh, when Brajesh Mishra was the National Security Advisor, and he had a very different way of functioning from all these people who succeeded him, whether it is Mr. Narayan and, whatever.
MK Narayan.
Yeah, but there was a big difference, and he had a certain sort of a broader style of functioning. He was from the Bharatiya Janata Party, but a very formal, very easy way of functioning. So I remember asking him that, do you ever inform the Prime Minister of the decisions that you are announcing to us? So he said, of course I do. I always apprise him. There is nothing that I say that the Prime Minister Vajpayee doesn't know. And then he took out from his pocket a piece of paper, and he says, see, I carry these slips of paper, and as I pass him, I slip them to him. He can read it, and he knows what the decisions are. Or, he can give me the tick off on the decision. He knows exactly what I'm doing at any point of the day. Now, who's going to speak to a journalist like that, even today, where we are known to be asking? We come from that genre of journalists who believe journalism is about questioning the establishment, regardless of who the establishment was. And I was certainly not, we were not being kind to Mr. Brajesh Mishra and his. There was this certain ease, in discussion. So what my fear is, Mr. Sahu, that this kind of an environment is going to legitimize in the long run. And it has been creeping up on us. It's accelerated now. A certain distance between the media and the legislation and the legislature, rather, and a certain restriction in how people talk to us in the media, a certain distrust, suspicion, and that whole ease that is associated with democracy is going to get impacted.
Yeah, it has a chilling effect.
Yes.
See, it has been acknowledged by none other than the Chief Justice of India. And, in one of his lectures, this in the Indian Express event, he did say that. Even his predecessor did say that. And, this kind of an attempt, I remember during COVID time or maybe later, they said 3 colored passes would be given to the journalists, red, green, and some other color. Those who are opposed to the government, they would be given red. Those who are supportive of the government, green, and so on and so forth. What does it mean? So the journalists are to be classified in terms of, what they write, what they stand for, what they, see, there will be bias in journalism, no doubt about it. See, why did the parties in the India Alliance, they take a decision to boycott 14 anchors?
Absolutely.
So why did they do that?
Yeah,
this is unprecedented. But let me tell you, in 1926, I wrote an article. In 1926, Gandhi called for boycott of newspapers spreading hatred. And he did so after Swami Shraddhananda was killed by one Abdul Rashid, and Gandhiji wrote, he killed Swami Shraddhananda of Arya Samaj because of the false reports in the newspapers and the lies, hatred being spread by newspapers. And Gandhi's famous statement of 1926 was that all those newspapers, he closed down, during that time. He said India would lose nothing. So now today, when we have a Godi media, and media is in collusion with corporates, why collusion? They are being completely
they're run by the corporates,
by the corporates, and so they are completely aligned with the ruling regime. So this means there is a new threat to democracy from the, I remember there was a report in the US, he said, like the military-industrial complex, now there is a politico-journalistic corporate complex, which is posing huge danger. So this is I think this is a very remarkable, coinage of the word, politico-journalist corporate complex, which has emerged as a, sinister development, posing grave danger to democracy. And what you said, ease of even talking. People say, don't talk like this now. Even in IIC, when I speak to some of my friends, they come. He said, how do you write and how do you talk like this in an open manner? I said, they will target you. So I said, so this is the state of affairs. What does it indicate?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll ask, I know everyone has to go. I'm going to ask Venkatesh the last question. Has the fun gone out of reporting Parliament?
Seema, it has already gone. Now they want not only committed journalists but obedient journalists. I still remember one spokesperson of the BJP asked anchor of a national channel, "You shut up." And in Maharashtra, the BJP president, it's a reported statement. He asked his partyman to keep journalists happy, take them to dhabas and offer them tea and other things, make them happy and whatever it may be.
But come on, this making journalists happy is as old as our democracy, giving us free food, giving us free trips, giving us free khana, favors.
Mm-hmm.
That is an old thing. But yeah, I know with the access gone and with all the problems.
Seema, I think that the presiding officers in both the houses of parliament, they are not asserting themselves. Otherwise, the regime would not have gone too long. Yeah. They are either they also towing the line of the regime, or they are shying away of taking any decision.
Venkatesh, mostly our speakers have been, or our presiding officers have been from the government in power.
Yeah.
They've always been much kinder to the government in power than they have been to the opposition. So that is, I think, still a problem. Everything gets exaggerated, but I think the real problem is of access, that the access that we had and journalists had to this fulcrum of democratic functioning, which is Parliament, has really gone down, has been restricted to a point where free flow, easy interaction, as Mr. Sahu said, Jairam Ramesh's post, where even the MPs are finding it very difficult to meet each other and talk to each other. That is coming in the way, I think, more than everything else. But thank you so much for giving us this time. I know you have to rush. So we will see you at another point on another occasion. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.